The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaru Productions. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tokucast Reviews, episode number 189. Marcus and Jacob here to review and discuss our thoughts on Tokusou Robo Janperson, Back to Metal Heroes. Marcus, I believe this show poses an important question.
Well, before we get to the important question.
Something even more important?
This was a show that I watched.
Yes.
With my eyes.
That you did?
My senses were in tune with this show. That's it.
Oh, okay.
What was the important question?
Well, the important question, Marcus, is this the greatest show we have ever reviewed where a little girl explodes? It dares to ask.
This is a show of all time.
It dares to ask.
This is certainly a show of all time.
Of all time.
I watched this show because we finished this one a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was already caught up on Boom Boom Joe by the time that it ended. So it took me a long time to watch the show because for some reason, it was not grabbing me. It was weird, but it was not grabbing me.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to talk about the opening and the beginning. Janperson, fight for justice.
You know, there are a few sayings in my life that I just never want to hear again. One of them is something like, does this look infected? Something like, would you consider voting Republican? Something like, Janperson fights for justice. It is up there with those things as, I don't ever want to hear this again. I never want to hear this again in my life.
Why did it give such a visceral reaction to you, Jake?
Why? Because it's how we open every episode. It happens too fast to skip. The way the line is delivered, it sounds like it's being delivered by an English-speaking person who just realized what English is.
Yeah.
Janperson fights for justice. Are those words that I am saying with my mouth right now?
It comes off,
is that how language works?
It comes off very robotic, which fits. But it's certainly an opening. I don't mind it. I honestly like the ending a lot better.
Oh, really? You like the winsome ending of, oh, who is Janperson?
Well,
does he have feelings?
It's not even so much that.
Just this love ballad of a singer just depositing information at us about who could Janperson be? Even in the last episode, who is this person?
That's a great question. But I honestly do like it just because it talks more about robots and do they feel anything, which I sort of liked.
Which is something the show gets into.
Which, weirdly enough, gives me sort of vibes of Jetman's ending, if that makes any sense. Something about, like, the tone and even the...
this came out... This is 1993. Jetman was 91, so similar around the similar area.
Yeah, it was all caused by Majima, ruining the economy, but...
Yakuza 0, if you haven't played it.
Yeah, but I honestly like the ending. I want to talk about this show.
I would hope so. That's why we're here. What would you like to talk about? Anything in particular?
So the first couple episodes seem to just like, oh, what if we set up just one particular thing and everything else happens?
These first 4 or 5 episodes are bananas.
Yeah.
They are bananas.
They are...
So let's set up 3 supporting characters who we are immediately going to write out of the show.
Let's get rid of Yellow Turbo, Rain Ta, and this lady.
And the reporter lady,
and
April O'Neil.
I think that was sort of the biggest thing because I got attached to them sort of fairly quickly. And then they're gone.
They don't really give you any choice but to become attached because they're the only characters who have any kind of personality.
Janperson doesn't really have anything.
Janperson doesn't. Portion. I think Janperson has one line in the first 5 episodes, and it's like, Run away.
He's
When he tells like somebody to get out of the way of danger.
Janperson at the first part of this show was so broken.
He's invincible.
Yeah, he is literally.
He is even through to the end of the show.
Yeah.
He gets knocked down. Yeah, he gets shot.
Yeah, he gets back up again.
He takes his hits. Janperson is invincible.
Gun Gibson. Yeah.
This character is invincible more than any other Toku hero, I think.
I think the first 17... No, I'm going to give it up to about like the first 20 episodes of the show.
Well, episode 17 is when like we actually get some story.
Yeah.
And we actually get a raison d'etre for our Janperson.
Oh, I used to be this thing, but I was legitimately America's police force.
He was RoboCop.
Yeah, he was.
He was a killbot.
Which, this is what the show is based off of, sort of.
Very similar in terms of design, in terms of the way he moves, things like that.
But the first 20 episodes.
Yes.
Until Bill Goldie shows up. Not Bill Goldie.
Bill Goldie's there from the beginning.
Yeah, sort of. Also, he's played by Kamen Rider ZX, so that's fun.
Yeah.
But
that's him.
Until Gun Gibson shows up, this show was sort of a slog to get through.
I would say it was still a slog to get through even after he showed up because Gun Gibson sucks.
Yeah, he could have been a lot more
Gun Gibson
interesting.
sucks.
Carol's the worst. But you know what the problem
You didn't like the deep fleshed out character of Carol?
I hated her.
You didn't like the love interest who was there solely to get killed and motivate Gun Gibson?
Well, it's not so much I hated her. I hated her design.
It's not great, no.
No. Okay.
I didn't like Gun Gibson's design ever.
I liked it more than Carol's.
Janperson's I kind of like.
I like the fact that his purple is a base color. Very much so.
I'm wearing purple in honor of him.
But you know what I think sort of the biggest problem with this is? And I think it's because of...
Tell.
I don't like to, compare it to another series. Mm-hmm. But after a little bit, Janperson comes off a little bit too human. And I think that is a detriment to his character. And the reason I end up bringing that up is because we already have done this. Metalder. Metalder did this a lot better. Because we basically come in halfway through Janperson's character arc. But it's like, he's just a little bit too much like a person. Which, I mean, you could end up chalking that up to the fact that robots are really a part of this world. As you see, they're hidden in plain sight by Guild and Neo Guild and everything. Yeah. But it just comes off just like, why is this not a person at this point?
I think one of the things that really, I think adds to your point is this. Janperson, for so much of the first part of this show, we don't get any time alone with him.
No.
We don't get any... He comes across as like completely robotic in that first part, where he has no dialogue. We don't get any time alone with him. We don't see what he does while he isn't fighting crime. He just shows up whenever he needs to, and that's it. And he just kills people.
I think that's sort of the thing of why I got attached to those first three characters, because we were sort of with them for a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
And then they just are gone.
Even though they were horrible people.
Oh, yeah, they weren't great.
Well, the worst one was the police detective who was like...
Yeah, Green 2.
That was Green 2.
Yes.
He was the one who...
he was the older one.
The older one who refers to himself as Batman. He refers to himself... The nickname he gave to himself is Batman. And he does things like pull his service weapon on a crowd of unarmed civilians because there might be a bad guy among them.
But I think it's just because of the fact that we're so attached to their POV and the fact that they're the only human characters for a minute. Where you're sitting here like, okay, I can see growth, especially with the reporter lady. I feel like she would have been a really interesting recurring
Again,
character.
It's the April O'Neil dynamic of like, I am this person who is going to correspond with the hero. I'm going to relay their stories to the public, and in doing so, tell their story to the world and get the public more on their side. But she is written out of the show immediately, and they do. It was so bizarre.
I just don't understand.
Seeing the three of them just like gone.
Episode 6. Goodbye. And I'm just like...
I think it's before that. I think it's episode 4.
No, it's episode 6 and less than she shows up.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I'm sitting here like, we don't have a character to follow. Janperson is nothing. So you're sort of saying here like, I'm waiting for something to really grab me in, but we end up getting Person of the Week every single
It
time.
it is very Neo Heisei, victim of the week. This person is experiencing a problem. There is a monster. There is a monster or bad guy somehow connected to said problem, and Janperson has no personality. I would argue throughout the entire show he has no personality. He's like, I do good things because I am a good boy and good boys do good things. And that is all you get.
You know what it reminds me of, and it's only because it's around the same time frame.
What's
just
that?
the way that the show is structured. Z Ranger.
Hmm.
It's so much, especially because there's a lot of kids in this. It's so structured around them, and I'm just like, I don't care about anybody else. I don't like anybody in this show. Bill Goldie is probably the only thing, but that's because he's such a ham half of the time, but he's also really annoying.
But they also abandon that eventually.
Good.
It's like the direction that actor was given. Again, it is the actor who played Zach Ross. We have seen him before, but seeing him in this, it's like what direction were you given? It's like, okay, so for this part of the scene, you are a stern corporate evil businessman. Okay, now you get to your office. And now I want you to act like a monkey with ADHD who just found a pile of tasty bananas.
Or a baby throwing a tantrum.
Or a baby throwing a tantrum. That is what I want you to act like. And then we're going to give you 2 lady assistants that are so interchangeable that when one of them gets killed off, I honestly didn't notice.
I honestly forgot. Because she gets replaced immediately.
She gets replaced immediately, and it's like, oh, she's back. Oh, no, it's somebody else. There you go. There are 3 villain factions.
Yeah.
Which is...
Bo Kinder.
One of them is the Super Science Network.
Yes.
Which is headed by Reiko. We're going to destroy the world and humans will become fertilizer and plants will take over. It's poison ivy syndrome. And then we have Neo Guild. We fight Guild in the first 2 episodes.
They get killed off. His brother comes in as Change Griffin. And you're sitting here looking at this like, okay.
They want robots to take over the world.
And then you
have Bill Goldie, who is just evil.
I want people in the world to worship me.
He's just evil. His catchphrase is Bill Goldie for evil. That is his battle cry.
Great.
Janperson says, Janperson, for justice. And then he goes, Bill Goldie, for evil.
And I go, I'm gone.
What else is on?
This show.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I think is sort of the big thing is, and this is one of those things where, time makes things better. So you end up having those 3 villain factions in this, but the reason I bring up Bo Kinder is because they did that. But the villain factions also fight against each other in that show.
Yeah.
They don't really do that in this.
The only time they do is towards the end of the show when Bill Goldie manipulates the Science Network and Neo Guild into fighting each other.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And I'm just like, if you have 3 villain factions, it makes it a lot more interesting if there's interpersonal fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know they don't get along at all to begin with, but actually fighting each other and sabotaging each other while Janperson's over there fighting one or the other would make things more interesting. And I don't like to bring that up because it's like, oh, I think the show should do this. Like, no, it's just, you have this, and you went nowhere with it. So we're just sitting here like,
So now it's just like, well, this week he fights the Science Network, and they send, I don't know, some goon after him, and it doesn't work too well for them because he wins.
And then Neo Guild,
we have Makabe yelling and being like, I shall kill him, I'll avenge my brother and robots.
Also, I hate you, Gunn Gibson, because you betrayed me.
Because he betrayed them.
And then...
This is one of the worst directed shows I think we've ever watched.
I agree.
The directing is like shockingly bad. What do I mean by that? I mean the way everything is. It's the way everything is shot. It is the performances, the way everything is coming together on screen. It feels like just it is disjointed.
Kaoru and her
it is
brother.
it is disjointed. It is schizophrenic. It is a mess.
That little robot, that Arziko, why are you here?
He's also a gun.
He's also annoying.
Yeah, he's that too.
I don't like anybody in this show.
No, I don't blame you. Everyone sucks.
The show is not great. I'm much more excited because we're watching Blue SWAT for our next Metal Hero, and I know at least up to halfway through that show I'm going to be very invested. After that point, we're going to get another Hibiki situation, so I'm not excited. But yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm just like,
we've talked about all of our problems, and yet, in spite of all of them, part of me still kind of wants to recommend this one.
Me too.
Because of how bafflingly terrible it can be sometimes.
Yeah.
Just, I brought this, again, it dared to ask the question, is this the best show we've watched where a little girl explodes? The scene where that happens, where it turns out that, later on in the show, this little girl, turns out she's a robot, sent to, sabotage and spy on their secret base.
This is the second time that we've seen a little girl explode.
That's exactly my point.
The first time was in Zubat.
Was in Zubat! This is exactly the point I was trying to make. Which show is the best one?
Zubat.
That is also correct. It is Zubat. Zubat is the better show. But
it's amazing.
But she's like, you have found me out. I am a robot. Initiate self-destruct. And it's like a little girl grabs onto Gun Gibson. Gun Gibson just kind of shoves her away because, she is a child. And then she falls on the ground and just explodes.
To be fair, that happens a lot in this show.
The way explosions and death scenes are handled
makes no sense half of the time.
It makes no sense half the time. It's also very badly done. Rather than a character slumping to the ground and then having a bomb pack or something, a fireball stunt happen practically in camera. A lot of times they'll just go and a flame effect will be superimposed over them as they fall over.
Sometimes they just fall into the water and the water explodes. And you're sitting here you're a person.
The people in the show are all very dumb. The Neo Guild at the end of the show, they capture Gun Gibson. They're going to execute him for being a traitor. Gun Gibson is framed for murder, or at least attempted murder, because everyone survived.
You see how I just keep looking into the distance?
Yes, in one of the most unintentionally funny moments in the show where he's like, Gunmachek, where is he? Have you seen a man with sunglasses and a white coat? He's talking to two office ladies on their lunch break. And they're like, oh no, we haven't seen him. He turns around, you hear pew pew. And then he turns around and the two of them are just splayed out in a tableau lo that we have been shot. And he's like, oh no! Gun Gibson with your stupid Giga Chad lips.
He could have been such a good character.
But he wasn't. He wasn't. He really sucked.
They resolved things a bit too quickly between him and Janperson, which, they didn't really hate each other to begin with. But it's one of those things I'm just I feel like you could have just done something a little bit more interesting. And, they have their constant spats and stuff because they have their various ways, but they always end up resorting to Janperson's way. No matter what. Oh, we can't shoot these people.
Well, I think we should shoot these people.
Motherfucker, they have been trying to kill us. I feel like we are bound to shoot them at this point.
But his programming doesn't allow it. It allows him to punch them into explosions, but not shoot them with guns.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Well, Gun Gibson is it's Janperson fights for justice, Gun Gibson fights for guns.
Baby.
I shoot for guns. I use guns. That is his personality.
The big thing is, it's just Janperson at the beginning of the show is very different than Janperson as the show goes along. Which, could be attributed to character growth, but it's not.
No. So it's just the writing changes after episode 17 when the doctor shows back up.
Yeah.
And is Janperson. He's doctor, I have missed you. Beep boop, developing some kind of personality. You remember the episode with the two teenage edgelords who wanted to destroy all AI life because they were dumb? I love the it's two friggin' kids. Jesus End was the name of the weapon that they wanted to use, but my favorite part of that entire arc, mini couple of episodes, was when the leader kid, I think his name was Koji.
The older brother.
He hates robots so much. I hate them so much, I'm gonna kill all of them.
Because Neo Guild killed my dad.
no, but it's even better than that.
Is it?
No, it is because of a particular logic in which he frames everything. When he says, because the doctor, what's her name, Kaoru?
Yeah.
Kaoru is like, no, they have feelings too. You can't do this. And he's like, oh, well, it's like robots suck because they're not humans. They don't have any feelings. Yes, they do have feelings. Well, then they're monsters. Think about it. If your refrigerator started walking around and talking to you, that would be weird.
You'd be in an episode of Jetman when they had the apartment complex thing happen.
But yeah, his logic is like, well, if they have no feelings, then they must be destroyed. And if they have feelings, then they must be destroyed because it would be like an appliance talking to you, and that would be weird. That is his line of logic for why all robots must die.
The show is bad.
Yes, it is.
And I'm happy we're done. This show went on about way too long. Like, I'm usually up for a show that goes on a year.
50 episodes in total.
Yeah, I'm usually up for a show that goes on for a year, but this is one of those ones I'm saying, like, this could have been 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have been at the same place we were at the ending. With him fighting for justice. And Gun Gibson having gun.
Mm-hmm. And Carol. It's his only motivation.
Anyway. That's it for this.
That's it for Janperson.
I just really did not like this show. Next up. Return of Ultraman. We're going back to Ultra because it's been a little bit. And then we're going to do some movies for a little...
But for show Ultraman, we did just review Arc.
We did just review Arc. Oh, the ship. But yeah, very excited for... Well, I'm whelmed to do Return of Ultraman. I don't really know how to feel about that one yet. The Ultraman Jack. And yeah, we're just gonna do some movies for. We got the Cosmos movies coming up.
There are 3.
We're gonna be doing some of the Rider movies that we missed.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give us a couple of weeks of easy time after Return of Ultraman, because that show is 51 or 3 episodes, so that's fun. But yeah, don't forget to join us on all the things. Let us know what you thought about Janperson in the comments below. Let us know what you think about Return of Ultraman if you've seen it. Don't forget to join us on all the things. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.